I'm not sure if this will be the last episode. I had an intention of doing 10. I don't know. This is just a flow from obviously my heart, my deepest consciousness. I am present, available for self expedition, awareness. At the same time, with a goal of perhaps someone getting through to her, somebody saying, return to who you were. And I have a few old Facebook messages from her. I'm going to read them to you just so you know where this has come from. And by the way, this is the tease of, well, maybe she's this, these Facebook posts. Maybe she is this instead of the Facebook posts recently that are all about flowery. She went to the engagement, of course, it broke, and Rundle had to have an engagement. It was all about this BS and it's just so, these people are so ridiculous how they are with one another. And my beloved, so this phony. They live 300 miles away and yet have this connection with Lotus that is undeniable, and just they keep affirming it. I'm like, hey, why don't you put that in your marriage? But this alleged love, why don't you put in your marriage? Just give that a shot, is what I would think the entire time, or the times of recent times when she got sucked in. So here's one of her posts from 4 years ago. She says, I took sex off the table and now I can't get enough of him. Like any marriage, we've had ups and downs because we have a strong commitment to our spiritual purposes and willingness to own our shit. We've overcome quite a bit in the last 13 years we've had together. How true is that? How cool is that she's admitting that? But there was a part of me that was hiding, protecting, and not being fully honest about what I was feeling. I hid them because these feelings could be hurtful. The last thing I wanted to do was harm our relationship. I get it, yeah. So whenever things fell out of alignment, I went to my corner on my side of the street. Quotes. The irony was I was, quote, working inside of my pain body, my emotional injuries. Retreating is my way I operate when I'm in a shame spiral. So she knows that she goes into shame spirals. Unfortunately, she took that spiral, encouraged by Broke, and took it to dissolve instead of embracing and working on self like she does here. My retreating was one of those biggest offenses to his emotional injuries, which is true. Every time she would retreat, it would hit me. It was like the perfect storm, and I mean a storm, because she would just run away as I would plead and beg, please stay and have a discussion. We can have a calm discussion and work this out, whatever it is. She says, my pain body was triggering his, which put him into a shame spiral, which made him operate in a way that made me retreat even more. Yeah. The love and passion I felt in other areas of my life wasn't exactly translating to having a deep and supportive partnership. I told myself a lie, and I was okay with that. As long as I was happy with my health, career, parenting, community, and life purpose, can't be a big deal if my marriage was a bit saggy, right? I have so many tools for self-reflection, living my authentic self, and yet there weren't enough in this arena. Yeah, she picked all the other arenas, which is familiar to me, by the way. I've watched my sister did the same thing where everything was about other people and impressing other people. And I remember she's like dedicated to homeless people. I'm like, she doesn't even treat me like a homeless person. It's like, she's another one. It's a pattern in my life. Strangers are more important than family. I'm the opposite. So then she says, or maybe they were exactly the right things to lay the groundwork for the excavation that was about to take place. Or maybe they were exactly or the transformation I experienced this year dictated that I grow beyond the way our marriage was functioning. All the ideas I had about what a good marriage is, who a good wife is, had to be thrown out. I just could not pursue my path to authenticity while I codependently operated out of a mixture of resentments and guilt for not matching up to self-imposed standards. It was time to smash the constructs. First off the table was the expectation of sex. He accepted the boundary. We weren't having that much to begin with. Big surprise. Next, I had to be brutal. Also, she doesn't say in here, she told me to go have sex with someone else because she would not have sex with me. She said, go ahead. You have my full permission. This was part of her surrender. Next, I had to be brutally honest where I was. Something had died in me, and I was unable to access the loving feelings for him any longer. I still loved him as a person, but not the kind of vulnerable, authentic love that I would want from my partner. Now, this I want to say to everyone out there. So what? It's a phase. It's okay. It's okay to fall out of love, but have the intention, my tip for the day, have the intention of finding that love again, finding the spark, open up, be vulnerable, open your heart, be of service, do some service acts, get out of self, get out of selfishness. Look at the children and put them first and think to yourself, oh, I want to be an example to those children. She says it was scary. He took it all in while I spewed out years worth of my resentments. It was ugly, capital ugly. I told him I didn't even know if I was committed to our marriage. I watched the man I shared so much with break down. It was one of the most painful things I've done. To say that it was crushing to watch him go over the cliff of sorrow is an understatement. Yes, I was in absolute sorrow. I loved this woman. I still love this woman as the mother of my children, my former wife. I love people anyway. I will love them even if they don't love me back. And it was sorrowful. The sorrow part was also like, you're really not going to give this any more effort? I just still couldn't access hope. I was open to the possibility that things would work out, but my trust in us was frozen. We cried, we sobbed, we walked out to go to work. I went back to my kid duty. It was the end. And then something shifted. My fear, the rock that was sitting on my chest that blocked all hope, suddenly dissipated. And all of a sudden, in the cashier line at Trader Joe's, a beam of light shone into my heart. I texted him immediately. I thought he'd retaliate with how much I've hurt him and how there's nothing I could do to repair that. And I was willing to hear that. He texted back, that's music to my ears. That fast. One thing I must tell you about this spectacular man is he's able to make a quantum shift in an instant. She talks all about how she cried and Chloe was with her and wondering what's it was. And she just said something about, I'm in love with your father. She ran into my arms, and as I do, as I complete forgiveness and complete solution. That's the way I like to operate and live my life. And reading this, by the way, is reminding me, it's saying, well, you know, maybe it was a phase, but she was not willing to go any deeper into that place that she went in that letter. There's another one I'll read another time. I think I already promised that this might be my, well, not a promise, this might be my last one, but there's another one. It's similar. And yeah, yesterday I had a meltdown. I don't know if it was an energetic healing crisis from the session I had with this beautiful tribe in my business. She throws the tribe in my business in there. Stepping into my mindset practices with a mentor or what? Her mentor is the guru. The camel's back was broken. I fell in a puddle of tears. Craig found me covered up in blankets in our bed. He listened while I barely put a few sentences together through my sobs. And we connected in all caps. The embarrassing truth is I had not felt connected with him in a while. A family issue knocked us off balance a few months ago. And in dealing with it, all of us went into our pain bodies, emotional injuries, dysfunctions. One thing that Craig and I deal with, we deal with pain differently. When he's in fear, he springs into action. When I'm in fear, I shut down. I used our dynamic as an excuse to harden me. I began to build a wall around my heart because, for fuck's sake, I wasn't going to let this take me down. And that attitude, that energy of rejection took me further and further in retreat mode, which made him feel alone. which made me retreat. Cue the catch-22. I don't know how things shifted yesterday. Give you a convenient wrap up, she says, but I took dedication from both of us to stay in our relationship, which is what I've been saying all along. That's right. If you're in a relationship, go in, not out. That's how people go with other people. You know, they think that's the answer. Grass is always greener. Go in, go in. Not in the relationship, in yourself to figure out what can I do? What can I sacrifice? What ego can I destroy? What can I do to go in? She says it took humility. She's right. It took willingness. It took a bit of magic, another name for gratitude. And that's something that I stress with these children and what I coach. Yes, I coach. Gratitude is one of the letters that otherwise you're in an entitlement, which is where she got to. She got to an entitled, spoiled child who acts like a spoiled child. But then she's saying this man reiterated to me he's been in love with me throughout it all. Even with all my cold shoulders, nasty looks, my quiet disrespect, she doesn't mention the violence. Maybe she wasn't doing it at that time. I don't remember. True happiness comes from being able to be open-hearted, being present, vulnerable, humble, and loving. These are the qualities I aspire to have in all areas of my life. Yes, there's a saying, practice these principles in all of our affairs. Not affairs, like in everything we do. Last night, I finally got there, she says. While my day was spent with tears of frustration in the evening, I cried a river of joy, the joy of a heart wide open. And waking up next to him was the sweetest moment. Here's to us. Here's to all of you, capital letters, who are striving for deep, meaningful relationship. Love the shoes, the one with the puffy eyes, and there's a picture of the two of us snuggled together. Wasn't that long ago. And that's the possibility. I like to live in a realm of possibility. That's why I wanted interventions. That's why I wanted somebody courageous enough to say, hey, let me read this back to you. This is who you are, Lotus. This is who you are, not the one who's showing yourself with money and all these little gimmicks to get people to follow you and praise you. I've been to Broke's wall, and there's a husband out there who claims that I broke up his, all this justification. And I think I might have mentioned this before. One of the most hurtful things to see is everybody's got an opinion, but they don't know. They don't know. I'll tell you flat out. You can talk to the kids. This is stuff that is absolutely real and has happened, and it's still happening. They said she didn't leave that marriage; she escaped, and that's what she put out there for everybody. Like the guy that said, "I'll find you a safe house, babe." Like the ones who shut me out and don't speak to me in front of my kids and are nasty to me. The people who ignore me, all the pleas for sanity, the pleas to step in. Yeah, that's the way people have taken it. And you know what? I'm going to say this in an angry way. I have anger when I say this. Have courage, you. People's lack of courage really bothers me. And she talks about pride. You know, this Broke talks about pride. It's all this BS pride. I am proud. I am proud of some of the things that I've done to be of service to others. Interventions that I've done where I've allowed Big G to guide me into these interventions. This is a form of it as well. It's an intervention for other people. Maybe somebody listening is also acting like she is. Selfish, narcissistic, self-involved, mean, cruel, spiteful, secretive, deceptive, liar. I teased this one story. It's another one that will tell you how wrapped she is in this cult and how she's just a different person. And old Broke is proud of her. I just saw another post from Broke. I should read that one to you. About this goddess that she holds in space, and we support one another. We've been through divorces. You've been through abandoning your highest good, your highest consciousness, which brought 2 children into the world. She has 2 children as well. That's what you abandoned. You abandoned that, you went into your own ego. Simple as that. Not going to diagnose you, but that's exactly what happened. So we're at this vacation back east a couple of years ago. The other 2 children were there, her stepchildren. It was great to be with everyone. We had so much fun. I have videos of it, of her sharing this cart with me that goes down mountains like a roller coaster. I mean, it's just, hiking, and swimming, and everything together, everybody, wiffle ball. And she left early, which is a little suspicious for me. She flew back early while we all stayed, me and all the kids, the older ones, younger ones. The younger ones came back. And we moved into this house, a rental house, as sort of an emergency because we sold the other one, but then it didn't sell. So we waited months for it to sell. So when I came back, I was starting to get suspicious because I was noticing stealing of money. I was noticing, obviously, the other things I've described to you. You believe this, by the way, how many things that she's done, this good person? It's a lot. So here's what she did next. This is guided by this leader. You go, girl. This toxic femininity that treats men horribly. Horribly. The disrespect for the sacrifices and the love. She described me in those letters. That is me. Yes, I'll jump to solution. I jump to forgiveness. I jump to love. I express the love. No matter how much she's being mean and unkind, I still become from that loving place. I'm not going to be a doormat, obviously, and I do have my reactions, but that's who I am. It's why we had a great marriage for a long time. Sees me for who I am. I see her for she is. I used to just think that she was, anyway, you've heard that before. I truly a magnificent human being. So I come back and we finally sold the house. And it was really a big bummer. We lost hundreds of thousands on the deal that the ones backed off on. And then suddenly it was a quiet, it was just interest rates all of a sudden went up and so we were lucky to sell the house at this amount, but it was the house I bought before I knew her. And with my ex-wife at the time, tell you about that ex, is how beautiful she is. I gave her the house. That's what I do. I'm generous. Moved back to this other house, in Sherman Oaks, and ways away. I still kept another house nearby so I could coach the kids and be there for them at their schools. I made sure that everybody was comfortable. And one day, and I'm proud of my credit because I come from poverty. I'm proud of my credit. But one day I was at Barney's and I said, here you go. I'll get 10% off if I get a new credit card from Barney's. And I said, sorry, you're declined. I said, oh, try it again. I was very cocky with my credit. So proud when I remember when I bought the first house, this other house, my business manager said, you can have any house you want. You have great credit. I said, wow, that's awesome. It's so wonderful to feel that success. Be able to provide for this family, this dream family, right? So dreams are broken a lot. So that wife from the past, she purposely took my name. She never took my name off of all the credit cards and everything else. She purposely ran it into foreclosure, the house. This is how vindictive she is. Purposely, she told my business manager that. Vengeful. Do anything to get custody, full custody, anything. She went to any length. I kept standing there. It was hard. Hard not to attack back when you're all this. And then that was another thing. Now my credit's down. So she was going to have the house foreclosed, and I didn't want the kids again to be in more disarray, more chaos. So I bought the house, or from her. So then we move in. Me and Lotus, who are now married, we move in. She saged the place. We laughed about it to get the evil spirits out of there because she had a tough time with her as well, which is amazing how she's imitating her now. She's acting like her, knowing the pain that she put us through. And now she's going to put me and these kids through the same similar pain of lies and accusations and bad defamation and all that. She's doing this. It's amazing that she went through that, and it was painful for all of us. So get the house, 2 children born in the house, home birth. Not my jam, but it was hers, my little hippie. I do bits of my comedy act about it, true stories, and 21 hours of labor. The midwife said, have sex with her and that'll get the baby out. On sex. Now the kid's right there. I can see him, So anyway, flooded the place, because it was a tub and it got flooded. And then we built a beautiful addition to this house that we had together. It was just amazing. And there was such a beautiful tub in there that we gave birth to Chloe in there, our second child. But then after Chloe came, she got involved with Raven and Broke and cult activities and all of this because she wanted to find herself. She didn't want to just be a mom. I get it. I understand. I have compassion and empathy for it. That's the direction she took. Still not earning her own money, though. Own money, it's in quotes. So I was suspicious when we sold the house. I just had a little suspicion. I said, and also she would criticize me over money. And I remember one time I got a BMW. She cried in the parking lot. It was embarrassing. I remember when I was buying that house down the Jersey Shore, she cried then, why would you do this? You're abusive. She called it abusive. And I was like, well, something's weird here. So I put us on camera. I still have the video. I'll show you if you ask me. I said, hey, with this money that's coming in, let's have an agreement. And unless we agree, we won't spend over, I think I was $750 or something, or $1,000. And anyway, she protested a little bit, some other number. I'm like, oh, whatever. We're not going to touch this money. We're going to come to agreements. And we put it all on video. Standing in the house that was just sold, empty kitchen. There we were, did this video. And she was so cold. When she turned to the camera, you could see the detachment in her eyes. That's where she can go easily, like a criminal. She's a criminal. She has no conscience. And this unconscious person doesn't care about me or even the children at this point, because what she's about to do. She turns it, she says, we're not going to touch this money. And I agreed too. I'm not going to, as even Stephen. And she convinces me to sign the title over to her because it was not in her name, because it was bought before. She convinced me, and I did the honorable thing. This being honorable, by the way, kind of sucks. Sucks. And hear what happened. We have a joint bank account. She made me open up a joint bank account, which is where the money went. I went away. I did the Sherry Shepherd show. I love Sherry, and she had me on as special guest, and I had a wonderful time in New York. I see my friends. I love to go to New York, especially certain times a year where you can just be outside, and it's just a great time. And I'm literally in such a great place in my life, a spiritual place. I was literally calling her with prayers, calling her with affirmations, calling her with great spirit. And I wasn't hearing back. So she's going to pick me up at the airport, which was always a deal that we had. If I'm going to work so hard, you guys pick me up. Now, she didn't do it all the time, but she had an agreement she's going to pick me up. And I land with the anticipation. I'm going to see her after this, exhausting trip of work and everything, but also an uplifting trip. I loved hanging with Sherry on this new television show. It was really cool. And she says, read your email. And I went to my email. I will not be picking you up at the airport. What? I'm divorcing you. I filed for divorce. And I took the kids. She took the kids against their will. They have no issues with me. They've only had issues with her. They've only witnessed her violence. I took the kids. She went to one of her safe houses. Didn't tell me where she was. Took their phones. So now I'm like scrambling. What the hell's going on here? You just imagine that. Person you've pledged to, a person you've given everything to, a person you've been supportive of, loving of, supported all of her businesses, even all the failed businesses, hundreds of thousands of dollars into these businesses, 80,000 ripped off on the broke slash Raven thing, even more with all the crypto and the mommy minutes and all these investments have been made, the RX, the soap, all those things in the water system, buy the water system, $6,000 for that coaching program, $9,000. There's a long supporting of these medicine journeys, 2 medicine journeys, which might have even messed up her brain. I don't know. I didn't even know who the person was. The person who's a shaman is also a coach and all these other things. There's all the craziness that I had to endure, but I wasn't enduring because I was just going, oh, just be supportive, man. And that's where it got me. I went into full panic. You've got to be kidding me. There's no warning. Come back to the house. It's empty. I was locked out of the house. What am I? I can't get a hold of her. Of course, she's not going to answer her phone. That's how she operates. I didn't know where the kids were. So I had to wait. And I showed up at the drop off place. She's acting like I'm an abuser because I'm at the drop off place. Are you kidding me? I went right to the principal and I told them, of course, they don't want to hear that. Both principals, they don't want to hear that. By the way, they're going to think it's me again. She kidnapped these kids. It's the second time she's kidnapped them. She did it the time that I was arrested. She had me arrested on false charges. She did the same thing then. Took them away to an undisclosed location, told you're not talking to daddy. I'm taking your phone. They have no idea. This is what's going to be in their memories for the rest of their lives. The embarrassment of me having to show up at school, being kidnapped and taken away from their dad who they love and they've never seen one single issue with, not one. I have them recorded. They told the therapist flat out, mom is the violent one. Mom's the one who runs away. Mom's the one who does it. Dad's never done any of those things. I'm so happy, by the way, that at least I have witnesses. I don't want to subject them to it. I am thinking about even having them on here. People say putting them in the middle. They are in the middle. They're in the middle. They're in pain. They told me tonight about they're upset that, she's telling them about her boyfriend and his name and all this kind of stuff when she actually said, let's not tell them that, this, she doesn't honor one single commitment. And they're not happy with any of her actions. If she was this woman that I read these notes from, if she just gave it one little more of a try instead of giving up. And I noticed the pattern. Again, I see the red flags and paint them green. She did have a pattern of quitting. We first got together, I was so, oh my God, I was so, like my ex before that was never worked and just was sponging money and paid her $12,000 a month and just awful. And I had to spend $1 million holding on to 50% custody. Then she didn't get 1 ounce more custody because none of it was true. But still, you got to prove it, and that's tough to prove. Lawyers, just all this stuff. Mess. Just want to live a happy, serene life. That's what I thought I was going to lead with this wife. And we did for a while, even though we had that other attacking. That still went on. Whew. I got to take a breath right now. I think about it. It's traumatic. When I got off that plane and read that email, It was a shock to my system that I've never had before. There was no warning. It's like a bomb went off for all of us. The kids, I remember their faces when I showed up at school. They were embarrassed, and she doesn't care. She's clueless. She doesn't care. Just that face. I used to call it the face. Doesn't care about their feelings. Won't listen to them. I said before, when they were vulnerable and they were in an intervention, she screamed up and down, scared the hell out of them. We just walked away. Got nowhere. Blaming. She has an excuse for everything. I used to say Wizard of Oz. Because. She always says because of the awful things he does. Because everything's a because. There's never a because of self-evaluation, which she did in these letters. These I've printed out, so they're letters, but these Facebook posts, not that long ago. Those little things give you a little hope. You know, maybe she's going to be restored to sanity. This is insane behavior, as you probably would agree. And this is what happens when you give yourself over to a con artist. Here's another note that I received. Craig, I feel for you. I met Raven some years ago, and her messy, seductive vibe turned me off. I recognize she's a narcissist, which just adds to the mess and all the toxicity that Broke still dispenses. Another one says, I just don't get how they justify it in their head. I know Broke doesn't have a conscience, but I couldn't see that happening with Lotus. I don't know much about Lotus's past trauma or even if it's generational trauma. I'm wondering if she's using Broke's manipulations as an easy way out. How about that? That just hit me in a different way. Yeah, she had an easy way out. Many couples will tend to work it out, not just dance out the door. She's not woke as Broke portrays it. She's blind by the appearance of calling her shots. These are other people's feedback. And it's very unfortunate. Once Broke has gotten what she wants, there will be a trail of lost hope. Sad. Here's another one that says she uses the kids as pawns. This is how women get power. I would bet dollars to donuts she's going to women and portraying you as O.J. Simpson, and she's the innocent victim. Someone else says that. Yeah, that's part of the manipulation of a cult. That's what happens. They demonize someone. They make enemies out of people. They made an enemy out of me. Someone else says, I'm sorry your friends are ignoring you and people are treating you this way. My friend only shared that Lotus said to them that you are emotionally abusive. I guess emotionally abusive is me saying, hey, can you tell the truth here? Can you stop doing this? Can you please? And she says, I told them, I believe you, and I have seen it for myself. And that Lotus has shifted and that she has fallen to this scam artist. This comes from other people unsolicited. It's a list of people. She's ripped some of these people off in her scams. She says, this is the Me Too crap. This is a woman says to me, and cancel culture. Men are still 100% bad, women all good. I'm for equality, but I don't call myself a feminist because so-called feminists do nothing but attack and condemn all men. I hate seeing this happen. Yes, there are bad guys, but there are also so many bad women, and people seem to be blind to that. True, right? She says, someone else says, oh, it's so sad. What has this woman done to Lotus? I wonder why she can't see that Broke is a sick, twisted person. Even Broke's posts are crazy and incoherent. I hope she can get some help before this gets any worse, for the sake of the kids at least. I'm shocked that she won't even get help for their sake, even if she doesn't believe she needs it. She was always so loving and dedicated to them. I'm actually reading these for the first time in a different space. been a little while since these people wrote this. Oh, someone else says that broke is a monster. That's what this person says. Here's one. See, some of these people were involved with Broke and Mika and Lotus. Anyway, they do these listening calls. This is what someone else says, was pretty much just listening to Broke brag about herself. I can't see Lotus. Can't believe Lotus doesn't see through her. Someone else says, Broke out here posting nudes on her public Insta. What an exemplary mother! Exclamation point. Yeah, she sure is. Another one says, Lotus lost me a while ago. So sorry, Craig. You don't deserve this. You should cut ties while you still can before it's too late. I'm not being mean, but Lotus is crazy. Sorry. And my son says that Lotus has helped him through trauma, but he says she's completely gone. I drove her and those crazy women to the airport. This is the Australia trip, and I could see it. I tried to talk to her, but Broke made Lotus insane. I don't think she will ever get help. She's too far gone. I try reaching out to her, but she's a bully when she talks and never listens. If you ask me to talk to the court, I will. I will tell them the truth about what Lotus has done. Whew. Another one I says, I don't connect with Lotus. I tried. I don't think she likes me either. She went into outer space, like totally self-aggrandized. I can't imagine living with her. Not being mean. She's all about Lotus. Another one says she's traumatizing your children. A lot of concern. She's like 30 different people wrote to me. Prepare for Lotus to lie with abandon. People like this have no God base. She's in a cult. You can sniff the stench of greed and selfishness. They despise and devalue men. I don't know how it is in your home when we're married, but it must be hard to be her husband. How is she as a mom? She puts it out there that she's a single, independent mom as if you don't exist. Here's another one that talks about they're in the water machine business and old broken Lotus didn't help out. Parlor talk, all this kind of stuff. This is called My Wife Joined a Cult. And she did. Other people, as you can hear, our kids, we've all been affected by it. It's a tragedy. It takes down a lot of people. It's like a bomb. The bomb has all of this distance that it goes. It's generational. She hurt these children for a generation by joining up with this woman, this phony woman. And that became more important. Next episode, I'm going to read the threats from the cult leader's Rundle boyfriend. Threats that Lotus had him do to me. Threats. When you hear these things, you might tell me to go get some protection. We'll leave it at that. What was the tip for today? Damn it. I can't remember what my tip was. Maybe I'll just make you laugh. Maybe I'll just, oh, here's my Facebook post today. It was meant as a joke. By the way, a lot of people try to rescue. I get it. I do the same thing. I'm a rescuer. But it never works. So instead of just laughing at the joke, everybody's go, you have to do this. You have to. I'm talking about hundreds of people. Hundreds. Oh, just 102. Let me not exaggerate. My friends used to call me divide by two. it's because everything I say divided by two. So here's my joke. Online match on dating app, getting judgy out of the gate. Her. You don't know the difference between your and your. Me. Oh, I know the proper use of your, as in you're just not worth the time it takes for an apostrophe. I'm sarcastic. But by the way, it never happened. It's a joke. And everybody said, oh, you need to get off dating apps. You need to be by yourself and all this kind of stuff. I'm taking care of myself. You might hear sadness. You might hear grief. You might hear any of those things. But I know, the children know, I'm a resilient son of a bitch and always will rise and thrive no matter what. There's a little bit to worry about, but my coach says to me, with a high vibration, which I go into that high vibration, it's a really cool energy, this rarefied air. And by the way, I welcome anyone to PM me, DM me, if you want to hang in rarefied air. People that can really uplift one another. That's my message. Uplift one another. Be there for one another. Be a support system. Feedback. Reflect. Advice, don't really need that. What I try to come from when I'm giving advice, if you will, is this is what worked for me. These are the things that work for me. Do with what you want. But I know from all this gained wisdom in life, these techniques do work. Did it save my marriage? No, it's not my marriage to save. I can't save her. I get that. I can't save her. I can't make her do anything. If anything, she's going to go backwards. She did come forward when I did the amends. So it's a big suggestion. Surrender. Surrender the ego. Apologize as much as you can. She's very happy if I appeal to the ego. Kiss her ass. Loves it. And that's what broke does. That's how she lured her in. Somebody who's middle-aged, menopause, has children, doesn't have a job. She used to have great jobs, by the way. I so admired her. She was an electrician on movie sets. So that's like really rare. I remember I did a pilot one time. And I'm like, oh, it was my girlfriend. The boss's girlfriend's going to come. And meanwhile, by the end of it, they're like, how do you get in a union? She shows up with her tool belt. I was so proud of her. That she's been an interpreter. She did the movie Babel. She did the Japanese girl. She was an interpreter. She's done documentaries. I was so proud. She did her own documentary. All of these things. I remember the one thing that I really loved about her, she researched this thing. She had an idea of coming up with a tea house about environmental sustainability. She even took a job as like a tea waitress to learn about making teas. And oh my God, it was so cool to watch this. But she just couldn't hold on to any of these identities. She quits all of these things. She quit them all. Became a mom, which is unbelievable. What a job that is, to be honored. And I honored her always with that job. But sometimes people hit a point, and I get it. Women hit a point and go, this thing, my damn job, the hell with you. I have my freedom. That's what this broke is pontificating about. It's like, oh, I'm not just a mom, all this kind of stuff. Even though they had mommy minutes, that was their thing. They're going to teach moms how to be moms. Always cutting the man out like he's not needed, by the way. And that's another thing I encourage. Please, if you're a woman, please honor the man. Okay, let's drop the history. There's so many great guys out there. I know them. I'm one of them. Please. Let's not try to defame him to make you feel better about yourself or justify your actions like she does. She justifies and makes everything right by these lies. She just tells you it's mountains and mountains of lies. Now she doesn't even know what the truth is anymore. So I am going to do another episode because I do want to reveal what this Rundle, she hired this guy like a hitman to come after me. These are actual text messages that I received out of the blue from a man I never met. We'll get to that in the next episode.